Hello and welcome back to the Berean Way. My name is Sean and I'm glad that you've joined us for today's teaching. Now, if this is your first time with us, welcome. We're glad to have you and we're glad that you found us. And to those who have been walking this road with us for a while, we just want to thank you for your commitment and faithfulness, because your faithfulness to this channel, it means a lot more than you probably even know. Now, over the past 3 weeks, we've laid 3 essential foundations in our foundation series. We established that Yahweh alone is Elohim. That His oneness is not a theological abstraction, but the foundational declaration on which everything else stands. We established that His Word is the only final authority for the life and faith of a true believer, the measuring rod against which every tradition, teaching, and experience must be tested. And then last week, we established that His Torah, it's not a burden to be escaped, but it is the loving instruction of a Father given to direct His people into the fullness of the life that He designed for them. And so today, we're going to zoom out just a little bit, and we're going to look at the big picture, if you will. We're going to look at the covenants of Yahweh, because without understanding how the covenants fit together, the storyline of Scripture often becomes fragmented, confusing, and easily misread. And when the storyline gets fragmented, there's serious theological issues that tend to follow. And so this is Teaching 4, so let's get into it. Let's begin with Ephesians 2:12, where the text says, "At that time you were without the Messiah, excluded from the citizenship of Israel, and foreigners to the covenants of the promise, without hope and without Elohim in the world." Now, the Apostle Paul, he describes those who are outside of the community of Israel's Messiah as foreigners to the covenants of the promise. And notice that the word is plural. There is not one covenant in Scripture. There are several, each one building on and depending on what came before. Now, the covenants of Yahweh with Noah, Abraham, Moses, David, and the New Covenant, they're not competing arrangements or contradictory plans. They are progressive stages in a single unified story. The story of Yahweh bringing His creation back into the fullness of covenant relationship with Him. And to be outside these covenants, Paul says, is to be without hope and without Elohim in the world. And that is how foundational these covenants really are. They are not background material for advanced students of theology. They are the literal storyline itself. Now, the Noahic covenant, it establishes Yahweh's commitment to preserve the created order and all life within it. The Abrahamic covenant, it narrows the focus a bit. A man, a family, a people, a land, and through them, blessing for all the nations of the earth. And the Mosaic covenant, it gives that people really their identity, their instruction, and their terms of covenant relationship. And the Davidic covenant, it promises a throne that will endure forever and a king from David's line who will reign over Yahweh's people. And the New Covenant, announced by the prophets and inaugurated through Yeshua, it brings all of these lines to their fullest expression. So each covenant is a chapter, if you will, and together they tell one story. And so understanding each covenant, its parties, its conditions, its promises, and its relationship to what came before, it's not optional for the serious student of the Scriptures. It is essential to reading Scripture coherently. Let's now go to Galatians 3, verse 17, where Paul says, "My point is this, the law, which came 430 years later, does not revoke a covenant that was previously ratified by Elohim and thus cancel the promise." Let's also look at Romans 11 and 29, where the text says, "For the gifts and the calling of Elohim are irrevocable." Now, one of the most persistent errors, I believe, in popular Bible teaching and theology is the idea that each new covenant, if you will, replaces and cancels the previous one. That the Mosaic covenant was made obsolete by the Davidic, or that the new covenant abolishes the Mosaic. In this reading and understanding, it turns the covenants into a sequence of, divine experiments, if you will, each one abandoned when the previous one supposedly failed. And so Paul addresses this directly in the book of Galatians. And so his argument is very precise. The Mosaic covenant, which came 430 years after the Abrahamic promise, does not revoke that promise. It cannot. Because when Yahweh ratifies a covenant, He does not later unmake it. The gifts and the callings of Yahweh, as Paul says in Romans 11, are irrevocable. What he has spoken, he maintains. And this is not a new covenant innovation. It is the consistent character of Yahweh on display throughout the entire canon and the entirety of Scripture, if you will. And so when Yahweh made a covenant with Noah, he placed his bow in the clouds as a permanent sign, an oath of the covenant, if you will, not a temporary one. And when he made a covenant with Abraham, he swore by himself because there was no greater name to swear by, according to Hebrews 6:13. And when he established the Mosaic covenant at Sinai, he grounded it in the Abrahamic promise he had already made when he said, I, Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. The covenant with Abraham was the reason for the Exodus. And so each new covenant, it adds, it deepens, and it advances the purposes of Yahweh without destroying what he has previously established. And so the new covenant, it does not abolish the Torah, it internalizes it. The new covenant, it does not replace the Abrahamic promises, but it fulfills it. And the story continues to move forward, but the foundations, they remain. Let's now move to a text that we have looked at previously on this channel, Jeremiah 31, verse 31, where the text says, look, the days are coming. This is Yahweh's declaration, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Notice, no Gentiles. This one will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, a covenant they broke even though I had married them. Yahweh's declaration. Instead, this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, Yahweh's declaration. I will put my teaching within them, and I will write it on their hearts. I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. And then we read in Hebrews 8 and 10, where the writer of Hebrews says, I will put my laws into their minds and write them on their hearts. And he's quoting Jeremiah 31 here. I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. Now, the new covenant announced by Jeremiah and applied to the community of Yeshua's followers by the writer of Hebrews is probably the most misunderstood covenant of all. It is routinely presented as the covenant that replaces everything that came before it, a clean break, if you will, a fresh start, a new arrangement that renders the old one obsolete. But look carefully at what Yahweh actually says in Jeremiah 31. Notice what he says. The new covenant does not say, I will give you a new set of instructions. It says, I will put my existing instructions inside you. The very content of the new covenant is the Torah, written not on tablets of stone this time, but on the hearts of his people. And the goal, friend, it's not changed, but the location of the writing, it has changed. And this is the decisive point. The new covenant is not the abolition of the Torah, it is the internalization of the Torah. Ezekiel expresses the same vision. Look at Ezekiel 36:27, where the text says, I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my ordinances and do them. So the Spirit's work under the new covenant is not to free believers from Yahweh's instruction. It is to empower us to live them from the inside out. And so the writer to the Hebrews, in quoting Jeremiah 31 in full, and he applies it to the community gathered around Yeshua. The same Torah, the same people of Yahweh, the same covenant-keeping Elohim, if you will. What is new is not the content, but the depth of its application, written on our hearts rather than stone, empowered by the Spirit rather than enforced by external obligation alone. And so the new covenant, it's the fullest expression of everything that Yahweh has been building since the beginning. It's not a departure from the story. It is the story reaching its richest chapter yet. And so what I want to do is I want to close with an image that I hope you'll keep with you. So think of a great river, and at its source, it begins small, a spring, a stream, maybe just a trickle running down from the heights. And as it moves through the landscape, other waters join it. Tributaries add their volume, and the river, it grows deeper, wider, and more powerful. And so by the time it reaches the seas, it bears within it every water that has ever joined its course. And so this spring at the source, it's not been canceled by the river at its mouth. It's still there, carried forward, gathered up, and flowing on. And friend, this is what the covenants of Yahweh look like. The Noahic covenant, it's still there. The Abrahamic promise, it's still there. The Mosaic instruction, it's still there. The Davidic throne, it's still there. And the new covenant doesn't drain those waters away, if you will. It carries them forward to their fullest expression. And we are living in the new covenant era, the richest chapter of the entire story so far. But we're not living after the story. We're living inside of it. We understand where we stand only when we understand the whole river, from its source to where we are now. And the covenants are not a series of divine experiments, each one abandoned when the previous one supposedly failed. They are a progressive, unified unfolding of Yahweh's purposes, each one building toward the day when His Torah will be fully written on every heart and His people will fully know Him. We are living in the middle of that story, friend. The covenants help us know exactly where we stand in it. So know the covenants, know the story, and know where you stand. And as just a quick note for our viewers, the full teaching outline for tonight, along with an extended list of scriptures for further personal study, they are available as a free PDF download. You'll find that link in the description box below. And let me just encourage you to download it, work through those additional passages and scriptures on your own, and let the Word of Yahweh do its work. Let it speak for itself. These are not abstract theological texts. They are the storyline of everything. And the more time you give them, the more time you spend in them, the more clearly the whole of Scripture will come into focus for you. And so, friends, before we close, I just want to thank you for spending part of your Wednesday with us. It means a great deal to us here at the channel, and we don't take it for granted. And if today's teaching has been meaningful to you, the most valuable thing that you can do to help us out is to share it with a friend, a family member, someone in your community, maybe somebody who's looking for truth, asking questions, looking for something more deeper and more rooted. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on the notifications so that you don't miss any of the videos when we release them, and pass this along to whoever you can. Every one of those actions genuinely help this content reach the people who need it. And for those who have asked about supporting the channel financially, we thank you for asking. Our Buy Me a Coffee account, it is linked in the description box below. If you feel led to give, please know it's received with genuine gratitude, and every dollar makes its way back into this ministry. And as always, if today's teaching raised some questions, or you've just got some questions you'd like to ask, reach out to us at the channel email, that is the Berean Way 1711 at gmail.com, or drop a comment in the comment section below. We try our best to respond to every message, and we enjoy hearing from you. And so don't forget, you can find us on our social media channels as well, that we've shown in this video, and we'll link in the description box below. And we'll be back next week for teaching 5 of our foundation series, and we hope that you'll join us. But until then, be a Berean, walk in the Berean way, and may Yahweh's shalom find you in your pursuit of genuine biblical truth.